Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's discuss the new wave of British heavy metal legends Saxon and their 1980 albums, Wheels of Steel and Strong Arm of the Law. Yes, back in the day when bands would release an album every year and sometimes even release two albums in the same year, which is incredible because considering nowadays it seems like it takes a minimum of like 4 to 5 years for for every band to release an album now. But back then bands would release an album every year. Sometimes there'd be a live album thrown in there. And sometimes, like in this case, 2 albums in 1 year. I mean, Black Sabbath, they released their first 2 albums in 1970. It's really incredible how bands were able to put out such great music so quickly back then, considering the technology was primitive compared to what we have today with computers and recording and everything. So all right. So the first one to come out was Wheels of Steel. That came out in February of 1980. Features, the classic lineup of Saxon here. You got Biff Byford on vocals. Biff has a cool kind of upper range voice. Graham Oliver and Paul Quinn on guitars. Steve Dawson on bass and Pete Gill on drums. Saxon for me, they're a band that really, when I think of the new wave of British heavy metal, Saxon is one of the first bands that comes to mind for me. And I think it's because for me, they have a real kind of pub rock, there's a blues sort of element to what they do. There's just sort of it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It's designed for the clubs, the beer drinkers, hellraisers, motorcycle riders, that kind of thing. And when I think of the early new wave of British heavy metal stuff, that's kind of what comes to mind. This kind of sound, just fast driving, simple, straight ahead, hard rocking metal stuff. So Saxon does that really, really well, in my opinion, especially on these 2 albums. Now, being that both these albums, so Wheels of Steel was February of 1980, Strong Arm of the Law was September of 1980. They, of course, sound pretty similar, although I would say I would actually say maybe Wheels of Steel. I don't know. They're very similar for me. I might say Strong Arm of the Law. It has a little bit of a better sound. It came, that was the second one, so maybe the budget was a little bit higher. I don't know, but they're still very similar sonically. Pete Hinton produced both these records, and they're pretty simple. They're pretty raw. I think, again, this is another sort of signature of the new wave of British heavy metal sound for me. Is just simple, straight ahead, sort of in your face type of recordings, and both these albums have that. So we'll start with Wheels of Steel, the first one that came out. Wheels of Steel starts with, where am I here? Yep, Wheels of Steel over here. Starts with Motorcycle Man. This is a great NWOBHM, just fast driving, Motorcycle Man, driving sort of blues riffs. Stand Up and Be Counted is fun. It's got a cool kind of sing-along chorus, fist in the air. And this is another thing that Saxon does well, this singing for the metalheads, because the early years of the new wave of British heavy metal was really all about this family kind of vibe. The cardboard air guitars, Neil Kay and the Soundhouse, the leather, the denim, the patches on your jackets and everything. And Saxon does a good job of sort of singing for that crowd. And Stand and Be Counted is one of those songs for me that is all about kind of the family element of these early years of new wave of British heavy metal. They would fine tune that and really make that work on the song Denim and Leather, which is, it's all about the punters for that song. And Saxon for me is a band that, they're there, they're in the crowd, we're here with you kind of thing. 747, Strangers in the Night, anthemic, cool one. I love the picked kind of guitar part underneath the chorus, Strangers in the Night. And it's based on, I guess, a story where the radar was down somewhere at the Kennedy Airport, I think, and a Scandinavian 101, a Scandinavian airplane had to land with no radar or something like that. Wheels of Steel, this is a fist in the air, old school metal classic, heavy blues riff that always reminded me of the main riff in Bad Boy Boogie by AC/DC. Freeway Mad, cool, starts off the second side, cool, kind of long, heavy drum intro, fast, hard blues riffs, more of that. This is kind of a signature of Saxon. See the Light Shining. It has a pretty cool chorus to it. There's a cool part in that song where it drops down to this almost funky kind of halftime feel thing where the bass is just sort of pulsing on this, like the downbeats. Street Fighting Gang, another driving rocker. Again, Saxon, a signature at this point. Some nice little guitar harmonies here. That's something, Saxon does a little bit of that. There isn't as much guitar harmony stuff as you hear in like Iron Maiden or Judas Priest, for instance. And Saxon for me is way more based in like a blues, driving blues, whereas Iron Maiden went more in sort of a progressive, a little bit of a classical with like some of the scales and the runs that they did, and a more of a gothic overtone, gothic as in the architecture and the time period, not the music. But all right, Susie, hold on. It's a melodic, I guess it's a fun melodic rocker. It's not my favorite song on the record, but it's catchy. And it's fun. Machine Gun, this is one of my favorites on this album, probably next to like Motorcycle Man and 747. Fast, hard riffing, signature Saxon, in a cool way to take the album out. Okay, Strong Arm of the Law now is 6 months later, believe it or not. They put this out, opens with Dallas 1 p.m. Pretty epic, the lyrics about the Kennedy assassination. I like the part where there's some radio snippets in there and the gunshot and everything. So cool song. Strong Arm of the Law, nice mid-tempo groove to it. I like the chorus. Stop, get out. We are the strong arm of the law. That's cool. Sixth Form Girls, a little bit of a throwaway, a little bit of forgettable for me. Hungry Years, this is another one that's sort of singing for the rockers, for the kids out there. It's got a moody, picked intro to it. It's got a nice sort of blues stomp to it with a little bit of slide guitar, and it's got kind of an epic feel to it. They search for the hungry years, singing about just these bands coming up through the whole new wave of British heavy metal thing. Heavy Metal Thunder. Now, this is side 2 of my record. The UK track listing for this record has it almost reversed, and the UK track listing is way better. Like, I'm pretty sure that starts with Heavy Metal Thunder. And for me, on the US album version of this, the second side is a little stronger than the first side for me, because I love Heavy Metal Thunder. It's got a killer main riff. It's super driving and fast. Heavy Metal Thunder, da 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 da. And there's a couple on this second side where they do this really nice, like tight chugging, like tight chugging thing that I think just sounds awesome. The guitar sounds, the mix I mentioned earlier. The mix is pretty good. It's pretty in your face. The guitars are pretty dry, and I don't want to say trebly, but they're not super thick or anything. So you can really hear when they pick out all these like single note things, which I think is really cool. Taking Your Chances, this one opens up with another killer riff. Heavy Metal Thunder is the same way. This one opens up with another killer riff, and it's got that tight chugging thing in it again that I think is really cool. To Hell and Back Again has a cool opening, a nice kind of guitar melody at the beginning. To Hell and Back Again. Again, here's that sort of tight low string chugging thing that Saxon's doing. 20,000 Feet. The album ends with, and this is a fun one. Another cool chorus, another catchy. All these songs are pretty straightforward. They're all, I don't know what the time's on these, but they're all probably within 3 to 5 minutes. So they're all kind of in and out. They hit you fast, good choruses. Saxon at this point not really doing anything like Iron Maiden, Phantom of the Opera, these more progressive, longer things. They're just sort of real straight ahead, real coming at you hard. And 20,000 Feet is out. I like the end of the song. It's got what sounds like airplane noises that I'm guessing is just a whammy bar on the guitar. So, all right, so there you go. Saxon, Wheels of Steel, and Strong Arm of the Law, two kind of killer early new wave of British heavy metal albums that both came out in 1980, 6 months apart from each other. So, all right, let me know what you guys think of these two records. Let me know what you think of Saxon in general. I'm going to be doing more new wave of British heavy metal stuff in the future, so look out for that. And until we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.